Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. Great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Tuesday?
Feeling better. Feeling much better.
It's always good to hear.
The COVID attack. So, ready to go.
Still in recovery, slowly but surely, but we're getting better every day. We got a lot of news to talk about. The CeeDee Lamb saga has officially concluded when it comes to his holdout, or rather hold-in, as well as we're gonna do some rookies. We saw rookies in the preseason. Now we're gonna basically have a better estimation on how they will do in their rookie season, as well as Mac Jones is making a return, baby. Just wait and see what his head coach had to say, Doug Pederson. But let's jump into our first topic of today's show, which is indeed the saga of CeeDee Lamb holding out has officially concluded, with CeeDee Lamb signing a 4-year, $136 million extension, according to Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. This happened yesterday afternoon at about 2 p.m. This makes him the second highest paid wide receiver at $34 million per year, as well as the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. He also has a $38 million signing bonus, which is a wide receiver record, as well as, $100 million guaranteed, and a wide receiver record of $38 million signing bonus, which is utterly ridiculous. But I want to know, how important do you think it was for Jerry Jones to ink this deal, put pen to paper right now, and have CeeDee Lamb extended for the next 4 years?
I think it was really important. I mean, you look at the rest of the team, I don't know. I think maybe they're mediocre when you look at the rest of their team. I think CeeDee Lamb is one of the top 3 players on the team. And you got to have those guys. He's got Dak Prescott's under contract this year. I don't think he's going to get a deal. I think they'll wait till the end of the season for his deal. Micah Parsons has got another year on his contract too. So they're just going to do CeeDee Lamb now, and I think the rest of those other 2 guys, so they're going to work out something next year or wait and see how they play. Micah Parsons, I think for sure they'll give him a contract, but Dak Prescott, I'm not so sure. We'll have to wait and see. You mentioned the highlights of the deal. It puts him only behind Justin Jefferson, who's making an average of $35 million a year. But to get a $38 million signing bonus, that's pretty nice, huh? And $100 million guaranteed? Wow. That's big money. And some of the biggest that wide receivers ever gotten, to only behind Justin Jefferson. It wasn't a smooth process. You had Jerry Jones saying he had no urgency in getting this done as early as a couple of weeks ago. And Lamb held out for the whole preseason. Got a little contentious back and forth on the social media. But I don't think, as I said, I don't think the Cowboys had any choice given their lack of wide receiver talent, for one thing. I mean, you look at the top 3 wide receivers besides CeeDee Lamb. You got Brandon Cooks, who's credible, right? He's had 684 receptions in his career. After that, it falls off dramatically. The next highest-ranked guy on the depth chart is Jalen Tolbert. He's had 24 receptions in his career. And then Jalen Brooks, who's had 6. Cavante Turpin is next at 13, and Ryan Flourney, who had never had a catch in the NFL. So, you know, I don't think the wide receiver core looks all that strong. I think it's going to be tougher for CeeDee Lamb this year. They don't have a Galloway. He's not there. And so I think they can double on CeeDee Lamb. I think it's going to make it tougher for him. I don't think he's going to have the kind of year he had last year. And plus, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot because you look at their running backs. Zeke Elliott is the number 1 running back. He's a journeyman now.
Maybe not for long. They're looking at they're bringing in Dalvin Cook.
Oh yeah, well, maybe Dalvin Cook had played very well last year. He was cut by the Jets, and then he didn't play that much for the Ravens. So Dalvin Cook, maybe. I think they'd be wise to do that actually, because after Elliott, you've got Rico Dowdle. He has 96 carries for 385 yards in his career, and Royce Freeman, 471 rushes for 1,792 yards. So I think the Cowboys, they got some issues here. I picked them to make the playoffs this year, and I think the division they're in, with Washington rebuilding and the Giants don't look very tough. There's 4 wins for them right there. The Eagles they'll probably split with. So I think they have a good chance of winning the division again this year. But getting to the Super Bowl, I don't think they got the team to do it.
It's sad because no matter what team the Cowboys have, you could always bank on them never making the Super Bowl, let alone, how about making an NFC Championship game? The odds, while on paper, yes, they're always great. Always when it comes to playoff time, it's Dak Prescott choking in some way, or a combination of Dak and the defense, which is what we saw against the Green Bay Packers. But this needed to get done. This was going to get done. The question is, why did it take this long? If you did it back in April or March, you could have had significantly less money spent on CeeDee Lamb. You would not have some of the big contracts you have now, like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's bring up the contracts. A.J. Brown signed an extension. Tyreek Hill reconstructed his deal. Justin Jefferson signed a massive... you wouldn't have these enormous contracts that you have right now. You would be more so around the $30 million range for CD, and that would have basically set the market. That would have basically been up to Tyreek Hill. You wouldn't have $35 million contracts. You wouldn't have $34, $32 million contracts. So my only problem is that it definitely had to get done, but my issue is that it took basically to the 11th hour, the 59th minute and the 59th second. This was completely unnecessary because I do not think that CD was banking on resetting the wide receiver market. He was not going for $35.1 or $36 million to beat Justin Jefferson. I don't think that was ever reported, and I don't believe it, even if maybe there was one report out there or two reports out there about it, I wouldn't believe it. And that just shows the facts that CeeDee Lamb had to sign a lesser deal compared to Justin Jefferson when it comes to average annual value. But why didn't this get done a while ago? You knew, everybody knew, that you needed to sign CeeDee Lamb because I've said on the show before, it's CeeDee Lamb, massive gap, Brandon Cooks. That's your 1-2 punch. Just go in your own division. How about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith? Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to include tight ends. Amon-Ra St. Brown as well as Sam Laporta. Those two receiver threats, massive. You can even add Dallas Goedert in there if you want to for the Eagles. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. I can keep going on and on. The Cowboys don't have that. So it's either you piss off CD, and I think honestly, if you did not sign him by the end of this week, we would not see him for X amount of weeks until this deal got signed. I think it would have been a Chris Jones situation where he actually holds out and loses game checks because he's not showing up because he's not getting what he's paid. So this needed to get done. It did not need to wait until the 11th hour. It was completely unnecessary. You have Jerry Jones now taking shots at the media because people are questioning his GM skills. I wonder why. But this was completely easy to call. And it's another example. Just keep adding it to the Cowboys players taking advantage of Jerry Jones being conservative and then maximizing on that deficit that Jerry Jones clearly has in signing players and getting more money than what you could have gotten if Jerry Jones just wised up a little bit and signed you months ago.
So you question Jerry Jones's GM abilities?
100% I do.
Okay, well, he doesn't. Okay?
Of course he
doesn't. And he was questioned on it, and he lost it. And he said, I've done it all. He said, so I have an inordinate amount of confidence that blank, whoops, if anybody can figure it out, how to get this whoops done, I can figure it out how to get it done. I've been there every which way from Sunday, and I have busted my rear end a bunch. There's nobody living that's out cutting and shooting that can't give you a bunch of times they busted their rear end. So hell no,
button, by the way.
There's nobody that could come in here and do all of the contracts, be the GM any better than I can. So he feels pretty confident in himself. He's 81 years old. He bought the team for $150 million. It's worth $9 billion now.
Right.
So what do you think matters most to him? The fact that he hasn't won a Super Bowl in 30 years now, or the fact that the team's worth $9 billion and he paid $150 million for it? And which means more to him?
I think Jerry Jones intertwining being an owner and being a general manager, because the ownership and the way you promote your product, that's where you get the $9 billion valuation from.
He's done a pretty good job there.
Because when it comes to success of your
$9
NFL
billion.
team, though, if you're talking about the legitimate success on the field as an NFL team, where has that been? Yes, you've won 12 games at least in the past 3 seasons. When it comes down to it, when it matters the most, you have guys who are the youngest team in the NFL beating the crap out of you. You have Jimmy Garoppolo beating the crap out of you.
Yeah. Well, he went on to say,
of course he did.
Plus, I'm where the buck stops. He said, when it blank up, I got to cover it. And so there you can't give anybody enough. Can't give. There's nobody that can do it. The reason I don't let somebody else be the GM is because I don't have anybody that I will let do it to actually do it right. And they're going to have to come to me because I know where it is that you're going to pay for it. I'm not sure I understand all of what he said there, but he feels very confident.
It's a Jerry Jones ramble. That's all it is. To me, no surprise whatsoever. And this will happen. Dak Prescott will hold. Micah Parsons will hold unless Jerry Jones thinks about it and says, well, what are my options? I have to reset with Dak Prescott, or I have to reset with one of the best edge rushers in the NFL, with Micah Parsons. And by the way, this is where it gets a bit interesting, because there's a chance, based on valuations, that's all it is, estimated valuations of these players, that the Cowboys would be spending 68% of their cap space on 3 players. If Dak gets the estimated $60 million that everybody's talking about, Micah right now is worth about $30 million per year, and CeeDee he got a massive extension. The Dallas Cowboys would be spending nearly 70% of all cap space on 3 players.
Well, that's a lot.
That's called
That's called not being able to even get to the playoffs, I think. And when you do that, you can't do that. You can't spend almost 70% of your cap space.
Dak Prescott ain't going to take another pay cut. Micah Parsons, this is going to be his first big contract. CeeDee Lamb, this was his first big contract. So the chances those players take less, and yes, while CeeDee didn't take, he didn't reset the market, he still took basically the highest market value you can, 34 compared to $35 million. Micah's worth about $30.5 million. Dak's about to break the QB market at 60.
Yeah, well, those guys will get those contracts, and then they'll have to be restructured if they want to have any players around them that can help them get to the playoffs. That's what I think will happen.
You would need to hit on draft after draft. You would need Puka Nacua consistently on both sides of the field, basically. You would need to keep hitting on draft picks consistently for several years in order for that 68% allocated to 3 players to at least be acceptable. Because you cannot find any large... How about this? You're not even spending $68 million on those 3 players now, and you can't find massive amounts of success when it matters. How about when you actually do it, or I guess if you do it? The chances of you finding success when it comes to playoff wins and Super Bowls is essentially 0. Because if you can't do it now, when you're not paying 68% of your cap space on 3 players, how can you if you do that?
I don't know. I don't think you can.
You can't.
I don't think you can.
You can't. It's basically impossible. I think it would be unprecedented for any one team, for 3 players to be worth 68% of all available cash you could spend and somehow make a deep playoff run. It would be completely brand new in the minds of everybody, analysts, reporters, people around the NFL, executives. It would change everything if the Cowboys could do that. I can't see it happening, and that's why I think that there is a higher likelihood day to day that Dak Prescott's looking like, well, I can move on, and I'm banking on. If it does turn out to be that this team is willing to pay the money, I still love the Seattle Seahawks. I really like the Seahawks with Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I don't think they pay him the $60 million, but if they do,
I don't think it's going to happen because they thought maybe Trey Lance would be the man in the wings waiting to take over for Dak Prescott. He threw 5 interceptions in the last preseason game. Yep. I think that killed his chances. I don't think the Cowboys are going to take that kind of risk on him, and it's too bad. I kind of like Trey Lance. I was kind of hoping
you're a massive fan of Trey Lance.
I was hoping he would come through and prove the 49ers wrong, but I think he kind of proved them right in that last preseason game. 5 interceptions. Yeah. Come on.
Well, think about it, because he kept improving. He had a great drive late in the second week against the Raiders, and he basically did 1 step forward, 2 steps back, essentially. You want it the other way. You want 2 steps forward.
He took
with
5 steps back.
Yeah, it seems like that. But yeah, no, I think the Trey Lance experiment, I still think, I don't have it up, but I would assume, based on just all the reports, that Cooper Rush is still quarterback 2.
Sure looks like it.
Which then would mean that the big experiment is essentially
a bust.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just check for posterity, and Cooper Rush is still listed as the backup quarterback to Dak Prescott.
They should have pulled him after. They shouldn't have let him play so long. They should have pulled him, and then at least they would have some trade value maybe. But now I don't think he's worth anything. I don't think he's worth much of anything now.
I think that when it comes with Trey Lance, he's super raw. He's been raw. You need the snaps. You needed to have him out there taking those
he
reps.
was missing
Good
receivers badly. I saw some of those interceptions he threw were just what was he thinking about?
It was bad decision making, but I think that he needs it regardless if it's good or bad, because he already got traded for a 4th round pick. You're not going to get a 4th round pick for him no matter what you do, because he's already been traded. And the Dolphins traded the 49ers traded 3 first-round picks just to get Trey Lance and traded him away within 2-3 years. So it's just unfortunate that it came to that. But you know what? It's good. CeeDee Lamb got his money. Now it's up to Dak. It's up to Ayuk now. It's up to Micah Parsons. It's up to a lot of guys now. Jamar Chase is looking for an extension as well. T. Higgins
He's got 2 more years. He's got 2 more years left on his contract.
Jamar Chase is holding out, and he's in year 3. He's looking to get paid now in year 3. Yet, meanwhile, he has a 5th-year option that I believe the Bengals accepted. So he's way, way too early. But yet he's still holding out, although he came back for the first practice recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into this one, and I'm very happy. I feel vindicated with what's happened. So Doug Pederson, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, was very pleased with Mac Jones' performance when it came to his preseason debut with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been there 3 weeks now, got traded for, I believe, a 6th-round pick from the New England Patriots after 3 years with them and 1 Pro Bowl. And this was his quote after the 31 they scored 31 points against Atlanta. This was the quote that he had about Mac Jones' performance in the preseason. Mac has played extremely well the last couple of weeks and really has bought into what we do. He still reverts to his Patriot ways every now and then, and we got to remind him he's in Jacksonville, but he's done a good job. He's done a good job managing, running the offense, getting everybody involved. He sees the field well, throws a good ball, so he's done a good job. Now, that's not what we've heard in the past 2 years about Mac Jones doing a good job, throwing a good ball, seeing the field well. It's kind of funny how it turns out. But also, I want to say, let's add some context here because I know people are going to call it out. Doug Pederson clarified what he meant by Patriot ways by saying that hand signals, calls in the playbook, that's what he meant by Patriot ways, not necessarily a shot at the Patriots. But then
I think it was a shot.
I think it was as well. But I want to say, we just saw Mac Jones play very well in the preseason. Does this mean, and this is another one of those topics where I could be very wrong, because that already happened with Baker Mayfield. Does Mac Jones get another starting job after this preseason performance with the Jaguars?
Well, his preseason stats, 38 of 52, 73%, 420 yards, 21 yards, 3 TDs, and no interceptions, which is pretty big for Mac Jones. He liked to throw a lot of interceptions when he was in the regular games. But again, he wasn't playing against the first-string players on the other team. But then again, he didn't have all the first-string players on offense playing with him. So I think he did perform pretty well, and I think that the jury is still out on Mac Jones to a certain extent, whether he can play at an elite level in the NFL. Sort of like it was for Trey Lance up until last week after he threw those 5 interceptions. So I think there'd be some interest in Mac Jones. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. I'm not sure why I guess the Jaguars picked him up because he was available for a 6th-round pick, But he's not going to play for them.
No.
Trevor Lawrence just got one of the biggest contracts in NFL history.
Tied for the biggest.
He's going to have to really blow it before Mac Jones gets in there, unless he gets hurt.
Well, I'm not saying Mac Jones takes over the starting position for the Jaguars, although that could happen if
Lawrence gets hurt, then Jones would be in there. And I guess it's decent to have insurance like that. But Trevor Lawrence got hurt last year, and he didn't play well when he was playing injured. And when many people don't.
He went 2-6 and looked terrible.
2-6. He was pretty bad. And after he recovered, he kind of never got the real rust off, I guess. They had a chance to get in the playoffs, and he just didn't play well in that last game.
Yeah.
So, I looked at those comments from Doug Pederson. I do think he was taking a shot at the Patriots when he said he revert back to his Patriot ways. Why say that? If you're not taking a shot at him, why mention them like that? He says, Mac has played extremely well in the past couple of weeks and has really bought into what we do. And that was after the 31-0 victory over the Falcons, which the Falcons probably had their third string in there the whole game. He said, he really doesn't have the pressure of being the QB1. Maybe that's helping him. He allows him to play a little freer. They got him for a 6th-round pick, so they didn't give up much. But, you look at Mac Jones' record. He lost 17 of his last 25 games. He had a little under 10,000 yards, 46 TDs, and 36 interceptions. I would say, it's not all on the Patriots. Some of it's on him.
Well, yes. While he did backtrack because it kind of went through the sports media landscape of Doug Pederson takes a shot at the Patriots and the Patriots' development of Mac Jones, and he's like, "Oh no, not really. I do think it was a shot, and I think it's a rifle shot. It's not a low blow. It's not an unnecessary shot. It's not completely just out of the blue. It's 100% accurate. The Patriots for the past 4 seasons, so last year with Tom Brady and now, up to now, while Gerard Mayo, I think, did a smart job with his draft picks, I think up to this point, and even today, the Patriots have one of, if not the worst offensive roster in the NFL. That is basically, you can't even dispute it. They are at least bottom 3. If you don't want to say they're the worst, they're bottom 3. I think that, based on just penalties and just preseason performance and the fact the Patriots' strategy with Drake May not wanting to be behind their starting offensive line, the Patriots' offensive line might be worse than the Giants, although I just saw Evan Neal basically be a turnstile in the preseason and somehow still is on the team. But besides, moving beyond that, I was a Mac Jones believer from day one. I wanted them to draft Mac Jones. I thought he'd be great on the team, and I was definitely 100% correct year one. He beat the number 1 seed in the AFC. At one point, the Patriots were the number 1 seed in the AFC after Mac Jones had played a phenomenal game against the Cowboys, which they lost, but a great game against the Titans. The next year, it was special teams mistake, fumble. It was a bunch of mistakes that cost the Patriots a number of games. That they could have beaten Joe Burrow, could have beaten the 11-0 in one-score games Minnesota Vikings, which made the playoffs. Mac Jones was tearing it up against the Baltimore Ravens. He did have 3 interceptions, but that game was down to the wire if Nelson Aguilar did not fumble. But let's take a little bit of a more in-depth look at some of the Mac Jones throws, because what did Doug Pederson say? Let's quote it again. What did he say? He said, he sees the field well, throws a good ball, done a good job. Now, what did we hear from the Patriots? We saw some horrific plays. The New York Giants game last year. What was he thinking? He nearly got pick 6. Thank God he finally tackled the guy on a pick 6. We also saw in the Colts game a red zone fadeaway shot that went 6 feet forward. Not great. Let's take a look at the new and brand new and honestly happier Mac Jones. Let's take a listen. I want you to give your analysis on what you think of Mac Jones' performance here. So this is a beautiful throw. Right side, beautiful touch on the ball. That's in the breadbasket. Absolutely amazing throw. This one, talk about the wide open, good touch. Maybe a little bit overthrown, but still, this one's a gorgeous throw. Beautiful placement, only in a place a receiver can get it. That's another touchdown. And this one, out route. Tom Brady got picked 6 twice his first year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on throws like that. So Mac Jones looked good. He looked very good. He also scrambled a lot more. We saw him use some of his legs. A couple of these throws were like bootleg throws. He's moving his legs with a couple of these.
You make good points here, but
that's cross field too.
Yeah, here's the point I would make, and looking at those plays. There wasn't a defensive player within 5 yards of him when he threw those passes.
Maybe the Patriots should take notes. The Patriots had one of the worst offensive lines.
There wasn't a guy within 5 yards of him when he threw those balls. So Mac Jones is not a good quarterback under pressure. Under pressure, he collapses. He falls apart. He's got happy feet. He doesn't want to take a hit. So he was in heaven there playing against the second string defensive line because nobody came close to him. He stood back there and threw the ball down the field. He was lucky some of the receivers are quite wide open there in some of those catches too. He didn't have that with the New England Patriots, and I think it's unfortunate that the offense was as poor as it was. But every great quarterback has to be able to throw under pressure, and we didn't see that there.
I think that when your offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL, what player can succeed under that type of pressure if you're not a Mahomes, Burrow, Allen?
There you go. You made my point.
Well, hold up. First of all, how many quarterbacks are Burrow, Mahomes, Allen? 3. Burrow, Mahomes, Allen.
Okay, they're the top. They're among the top 3.
We hear NFL executives, NFC executives say Jalen Hurts is horrible in a pure pass system. We saw that Jordan Love can't handle pressure, although statistically that's false. There's some of these quarterbacks that are in the top 10 but don't handle pressure very well. Geno Smith, which a lot of people respected after his bounce back with Seattle, last year I'm not going to say fall off a cliff because he had an okay season, but was terrible against pressure. That's the whole point. Brady, Hall of Fame Tom Brady, hated pressure. Absolutely despised it. Now, he operated very well because he's the greatest quarterback of all time. But we saw as he aged, especially that last year with Tampa.
Well, last year with Tampa, Nate, he was 45 years old.
He was slinging it for, 5,000 yards?
I mean, Mac Jones is a young guy.
He outplayed
He got
Brady
hurt
that game.
after he got hurt in the Patriots his second
Against
season.
The Ravens, yeah.
After he got hurt, he was a different player after that. He was gun-shy.
I completely agree.
And none of those plays that you showed just now was anybody within 5 yards of him when he threw the ball. It's pretty easy to lay it out there when the guy's wide open and nobody's even pressuring you.
Well, I would definitely assume so because, I mean, think about this. If you had a wall of 6'7" guys, 325 to 375 blocking you, you and I could make throws like no other because we're not pressured.
I'm not sure I could now, but, I think that
what I'm saying is that it's extremely easy.
I don't think that's the sample size now with the Jaguars to me is not enough to say that Mac Jones is back and that he's going to be real valuable, and if he gets in games this year that he's going to be a world beater. I think that's far from certain.
I was wrong with Baker Mayfield. I'm not going to be wrong here. Mac Jones will be a starter in the NFL again.
Could be. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to be a free agent next year.
And honestly, if we take a look at this, I think the Giants should maybe consider trading a 6th-round pick for Mac Jones, 7th-round pick for Mac Jones.
I don't know why the
Minnesota should try to trade
make a pitch for him right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Why wouldn't Minnesota make a pitch for him right now?
A lot of people said maybe Mac Jones should go over to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Back up Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, depending on how he plays, may get benched, may get hurt. Who knows?
I think it's likely.
And then we could potentially see Mac Jones out there again. But I think, and I will take this to my grave, there are so many opportunities for the Patriots to help out Mac Jones. Free agents that could have been interested in the Patriots if you just didn't spend. Think about this. Jacoby Myers, who was Mac Jones' security blanket, was $1 million off. $1 million.
You know why?
These aren't tens of millions.
You know why this happened?
And it's the same contract Juju Smith-Schuster signed.
Yeah. You know why that all happened? It's because Mac Jones mouthed off on the field to the coaches.
Matt Patricia.
To the coaches.
He went behind Bill Belichick's back.
He went behind Bill Belichick's back to ask other teams about how to run the offense.
I think it was Bill O'Brien.
And after that, they didn't like Mac Jones. They didn't like him.
Yes, maybe,
they cut him no slack after that. No slack.
I'll give you that. Yes, I don't think going to Alabama coaches, which I think it was Bill O'Brien, and go behind Belichick on how to run the system is the best thing to do. But if your team's not giving you the answers, if your offensive coordinator and your offensive game planner is a defensive coordinator, and your quarterback coach is a guy who works on special teams, which means that generally those guys aren't good enough to play significant snaps on either side of the football, then how could you be secure in your own position and feel like your team is giving you the best chance to succeed when those are your coaches? We saw the report. Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, that was a Belichick, hey, you want to come coach for me again? Sure. That wasn't like, okay, you're the most qualified person for the job, because it isn't that. That's why Matt Patricia, he no longer has a significant role. Joe Judge, I don't think, also has a significant role. None of these coaches have significant roles in the Belichick tree. And we're seeing with Gerard Mayo now. Gerard Mayo's flip-flopping on some of the things he says about Drake May. He's 100% the second best quarterback on the Patriots. Drake May has outplayed Jacoby Brissett. What? This isn't some, like, Uno reverse
I think
card.
Gerard Mayo
No.
is showing that he's a rookie head coach.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he said, it just makes sense. He broke at the end. They were asking him who's going to start. He says, "I don't know yet. I don't really know."
After saying that Monday night into Tuesday, he'll be able to figure it out.
Well, his time's running out.
I definitely agree with you. We're 9 days out of week 1 starting.
I don't know why
Chiefs.
my own thought is I can understand why they will go with Brissett. If they pick Brissett to start, then I understand it. They have an out by saying, well, he hurt his shoulder. It's going to take him a few games to get healthy again, and then see how May does. That would give him an out to start Drake May, and then if he has a tough time and Jacoby Brissett heals up, they could put him in. But I'm still thinking that Jacoby Brissett probably would be the starter.
I think that,
though I think Drake May definitely has earned the right to start. And I think people will be very excited. I think everyone will be excited to see that. They want that. But I think they're going to wait a little bit.
And we'll obviously cover that on the show, but my big question mark on who should start and if it's the right or wrong decision is, what's your objective for this year? Are you tanking? Are you rebuilding? Or are you still trying to be relevant? So I think it really depends on what your motive is for the season. And if it's, I want to win, then Drake May gives you the best chance to win.
I think that the Patriots are in the mode of, we want to win. We're going to do our best. But after about 7 games, they're going to say, we're in rebuilding mode.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very, very ugly season.
I mean,
that's
they have
why
such
they're
a
one
hard
of very
schedule.
few teams to not be favored in a single game. And they play the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, well, they've got
the Seattle
the 6th
Seahawks.
hardest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah, no, their schedule is pretty brutal. We're going to take a quick break, but coming up, we've seen all the rookies, basically. Now we're going to guess who will have the best rookie season, who will have the highest level of success when it comes to these first-round draft picks, as well as we will make, since the preseason's over now, we will be making our second official, I'm going to say, because we do this after
second
week 8
official.
This is the precursor to our final draft. This is the penultimate of our AFC standings predictions. We'll make those predictions coming up right after this.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. Unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online. And Saley, a global eSIM data app, will save you from those unexpected roaming charges. Grab the 2-year NordVPN deal with 76% off and get up to 20 gigabytes Saley eSIM data gift.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show. So we've seen all the rookies now. It's time to evaluate what we think they will do in their rookie season, how successful they will be in their rookie season. Now, unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy, he's out for the entire season, so it's hard to estimate, his value. Michael Penix is not expected to play really at all this season because they're spending $45 million on Kirk Cousins. So really, we're talking about 3 secured starters, 1 potential starter. So let's go. Let's go with, you want to go from the bottom up or the top down? Who will be least most successful? How do you want to do this?
I'm going to go top down.
So let's go. The most successful quarterback, you want to do rookie season or in their entire careers?
No, rookie season.
So the most successful quarterback in their rookie season, according to you, will be?
Well, before I start this, I want to have a little bit of context.
Okay.
Sage Rosenfels has the best preseason QBR in NFL history. Okay? So he's nowhere to be found anymore. He never really had he never really did anything in the NFL. Kenny Pickett had an outstanding rookie preseason. And look what happened to him. Man, the Steelers stumped him. He's a second stringer now with the Eagles. So what can we learn about these quarterbacks selected in the first round based on what they've done so far, which is very little, to say the least. I don't think the stats mean all that much. I mean, you look at how they performed on the plays in terms of whether they made the right decisions, whether they protected the ball, whether they ran the offense as efficiently as they could, and the team, the offense didn't have penalties and such. So I guess based on that, my number 1 pick, and I'm surprised that I'm saying this, I think it's Caleb Williams. And the reason I say that, the highlights showed, he's got that high ceiling. He has kind of a volatile style of play, but it seems to have a good chance of succeeding based on the way he played. He has good pocket awareness. His escapability from the pocket is good. His arm strength is over the top. He made some outstanding throws. He's a quick decision maker. His improvisational skills are through the roof. He's a scrambling magician. Okay, he plays well within the structure, and it can do a lot well outside the structure if it breaks down. His ball placement is excellent. But those are the pluses, and there's a lot of them there. And I think he really did better, I think, in this preseason than I thought he would. It's a long season, and we'll see. But he's going to be the starter for the Bears, and they've got put some talent around him. And the Bears should have a decent running game, so it won't be all on him. So I think he's the number 1 pick after the preseason right now in terms of the rookies. The only criticisms I've had, he seemed to be a little slow to go through his reads. It could be a little more accurate when there was a lot of space. I mean, when the receivers are wide open, he kind of missed a few where the receiver could have run a lot further. Instead, they had to reach for the ball, and it slowed him down a little bit. There are comparisons out there of him to Mahomes. So, I'd say so far he's acquitted himself very well. We'll have to. It's a very small sample size. He watched a lot of the preseason from the sidelines. So when he was in there, those are the things I saw, and I did watch a couple of his preseason games. He seems to have I like his style. I mean, his persona. He's very enthusiastic. He seems like he wants to be a real team-oriented guy. So off to a good start. That's my number 1. I give him an A.
Give him an A.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to completely agree with you, and I think
wow.
And I was kind of back and forth with this, and even in the preseason we had this conversation of who will turn out to be better during their rookie year, and I'm going to stick with the Caleb Williams pick because he has the best roster. Which for a rookie quarterback, if you have the best roster amongst the rest of your rookies, generally you'll do better. He was first in big time throws. Drake May was number 2. So he's making big-time plays, and I think he only played 2 out of the 3 games. 2 out of the 4 games because they had the Hall of Fame game. So he only played in 2 preseason games out of 4 potential. Now, his completion percentage wasn't that great. It was 50%. It was actually one of the worst. I think it was tied for 3rd worst. So accuracy, need to work on a little bit, but he's a rookie, so I'll cut him a little bit of slack. But he's making the big-time throws. He's making, and he had a great sort of unscripted throw, which was, again, Mahomesian, as people like to call it, So, yeah, Caleb Williams for me. He's playing on the best roster amongst the rest of it. He has the most potential. Strength of schedule-wise, if we talk about his level of competition that he'll be up against, they have the third easiest schedule in the NFL. Tell me that you can't be off to a better start. They completely changed the way that roster looks. A bunch of young talent already. They need to work on the offensive line a little bit. Reinforce the wide receiver core. Reinforce the running back room. Drafted you first overall, and you've been compared to Patrick Mahomes for a very, very long time now. Your defense
got Dunce too.
Yeah. Roma Dunze should be a amazing receiver for you. So if you have a bunch of those moving pieces, now the head coach, Matt Eberflus, don't love him, but the Bears give him another shot, so we'll have to wait and see how he looks. But you have that tremendous roster, and you also have the third easiest schedule. That is the definition of setting you up for success. If the Bears suck, we'll have to see obviously how the games turn out. Through the silver lining there of what exactly happened. But on paper, Caleb Williams should be the best rookie quarterback of this draft class, without question. Just because look at what he's got around him, look at the level of competition he's playing.
He played well in the preseason.
He did. Well, I mean,
I like his attitude. I like his attitude.
But 170 yards, he didn't have a touchdown, but he didn't have an interception.
But he made a lot out of plays that
Correct.
really didn't have much to offer there.
Correct.
He was an
Non-scripted
improvisational.
throws. Yeah.
He's a scrambling magician, as they say.
Right. So who's your number two? Who's the second best rookie in this draft class?
My number two is Bo Nix.
Wow.
Yeah. And, he started out maybe a little slow, but he improved with every rep. He maybe had a little bit of happy feet in the pocket. He was hesitant to throw over the middle, but he became much more calm in the pocket. He didn't look to run too early. He made accurate throws. He made plays out of the pocket and on the move. I think the big question mark here going into this, and he's going to be the starter, and I think that's the right thing. He had very efficient scoring drives. He had scores on 6 of his first 7 drives. I mean, that's pretty good for a rookie. And I think he played outstanding in that regard. The big question, I think, going into the season is, will the offensive line be able to protect him? Or is he going to be on his rear end most of the time? And are they going to have any running game at all? I think that's questionable. If they don't have any running game and the O-line is a sieve, it's going to be a long season for him. But starting out, he looked really good to me, and he has a lot of experience. I mean, he played a lot in college. He has like 60 games under his belt.
61 starts.
Yeah, in college. So he's almost like a quasi-veteran.
Yeah.
And he proved it. And Sean Payton's giving him the opportunity, and Sean Payton has been very good at developing quarterbacks. So I give him number 2, and I give him A-.
I think this is going to shock a lot of people. But given the right opportunity, I'm going Drake May. Oh. Because, and I was thinking Bo Nix, but I think when it comes to eye test, Bo Nix looked tremendous. But the level of play that Drake May brought to the Patriots in comparison to who is supposedly going to be the starter in Jacoby Brissett and the level of roster around him, by the way, Kendrick Bourne is on the PUP list. He'll be missing the first 4 games of the season, so no matter who the quarterback is, you're down your first wide receiver. Not a great start to the season. But what Drake May did with the Patriots, it brought some youth, it brought some excitement, it brought some potential. If Drake May's not the starter, then obviously the numbers, the reps will be significantly less than his other peers over here. So for me, I'm going Drake May under the little asterisk of he gets the starting job because he's definitely earned it. Yeah, I understand people don't want to be like, oh yeah, don't ruin him. Just like Mac Jones. Mac Jones beat out Cam Newton. Mac Jones earned the starting job. It was general managing from Bill Belichick, poor coaching on the offensive side that screwed over Mac Jones. Had nothing to do with Mac Jones. Had nothing to do with Mac Jones starting year 1. The big problem was who you put around him. Now, the offensive line took away a beautiful touchdown to KJ Osborne. Drake May rolled out to his left on the run throw. It was a beautiful throw completion and would-be touchdown. It was a holding on the offensive line. That can't happen. But I'm going Drake May. Number 2 best starter with a little asterisk saying he starts the year. Jacoby Brissett cannot be the starter. But if Drake May's out there, I think he'll be the second best rookie. Your number 3, middle of the pack for you.
I had Drake May at 3 for many of the same reasons that you just described. I think he played very well in Game 3. He got a bigger opportunity than he might have because Brissett hurt his shoulder. He showed off his ceiling. They had that play, third down, right down on the goal line after he had a bad snap on the first down there. And he got backed up, and he found a way to get him a first down. He ran for 14 yards there. I don't think the defense thought he was going to do that, and he did pick up the first down. He drove him down and got a touchdown out of that. So he showed off his ceiling there. I think, his stats, were hurt a little bit by the penalties that they had on offense, which weren't his fault. I mean, he was 13 to 20 for 126 yards on a TD, no sacks in that last game. And, he's creative but in control. I think that's cool. He finds a way to make a play, and that's what the Patriots are going to need this year. He's got a playmaking trait that gives him an elite upside, and I think that's something we'll be watching. Comparisons are out there to Justin Herbert, so we'll have to wait and see.
Also, comparisons are also for Josh Allen as well, which is, again, utterly ridiculous. But
he's not as big as Josh Allen.
I think
he's not going to be running the ball like Josh Allen did.
When he puts on the jersey, his arms look a little bit small.
Yeah.
If you just take a look at literally Jacoby Brissett or even Joe Milton, his arms look a little small.
You know who he looks like to me? Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah.
Tom Brady was slight in his first year. He didn't build himself up until a couple of years in. And Drake May I think I see similarities. Even when they're standing over on the sideline, when they're a little bit of a far shot of Drake May, I can say, wow, is that Tom Brady standing over there? They're both 6'4". They both have the black hair and handsome.
Brown. Oh,
and so I think there's some comparisons there. Will be fun to watch.
For my number 3, my middle of the road, I'm going Bo Nix. Bo Nix led these rookies in passing yards, tied for the most touchdowns in the preseason when it comes to this rookie class. So I'm going Bo Nix. I think that in Sean Payton's system, it works beautifully. He found his own little modern day version of Drew Brees, which is amazing. Said he had the same level of excitement as he did when he was scouting out Patrick Mahomes in 2017. So if he has that level of excitement for this kind of a rookie, you know that Sean Payton's going to set Bo Nix up for success in every which way possible. Now, they let Tim Patrick go. Don't love it, but he's a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. So I have really no problem with them moving off of Tim Patrick. He was unavailable a couple years ago. We didn't play tremendous last season, but overall, I don't think it's a massive loss. But what I will say, though, is Bo Nix looked composed. He looked very accurate. He had 76% completion percentage. When you take out Jaden Daniels, who only had 15 throws, he would be the highest. So let's just say overall he was the second highest among qualified rookies in the preseason. So I think that Bo Nix will be relatively good. I'm just nervous about the overall play of the defense, which was not great last year. And you also lost a couple pieces, like mainly Justin Simmons, your top safety. And I'm really concerned about how the wide receiver group is going to really perform. I think they'll be better than, 5.5 over under. Do I think they're a playoff team? No. Do I think they'll be around 500? I think if they get lucky in a couple games, maybe. I think they're about a 7-10 team. That's what I think. But I think overall, Bo Nix, and by the way, the estimations are Bo Nix will have the second most passing yards amongst rookies. So this is not, absurd to say. But I think that when it comes to the system, his head coach, he's in a beautiful spot. Arguably one of the better spots. I think Caleb Williams still takes the cake, though. Your number 4 pick, who you got?
Well, I give it's kind of an incomplete grade because they didn't let him play Jalen Daniels. I mean, he is, to me, probably the most athletic of the bunch. I kind of put him in kind of a Lamar Jackson kind of image. And when he was out there, he had one really nice long pass, a 42-yarder. But the rest of the time, he kind of dinked and dunked it, check downs and a few comebackers. But he was accurate with those. He was sharp in the run game, and he was very calm out under center. I think he needs to speed up his process a little bit. One thing that we don't really know yet, is he comfortable working the middle of the field? He didn't really show that at all. So whether he's got consistency there will remain to be seen. He's going to be the starter. They didn't let him play in the last preseason game. So I'm anxious to see how he does. I think he has a huge upside. They just didn't give us a chance to see it.
I think it's Jaden Daniels, but not for the lack of talent, not for the lack of skill. I think it's for the lack of supporting cast. They got rid of his second piece. It's now really just Scary Terry now. That's all they got. They got rid of option 2 of Jahan Dotson. Now you got Luke McCaffrey, who hasn't emerged really as a top 4 receiver anyway on his own team. Now he will obviously be their number 3 receiver, but this team is not built for massive amounts of success right now. Their offensive line just let up 65 sacks to Sam Howell. With a guy that's about 40 pounds smaller than Sam Howell, I'm a bit nervous if a 350-pound guy comes unblocked and he gets hit from behind. I think that very well could end up in an injury. Also, his tight end is a washed-up Zach Ertz. So this team is basically duct tape on several holes. There's massive gaps in the offense. Yes, you have a nice shiny pearl of Jaden Daniels with a lot of potential. And also, I'll give you this. Brian Robinson Jr., not a bad running back. Austin Eckler, I think he's washed, to be honest with you. But Terry McLaurin also, he's phenomenal
Terry McLaurin
piece.
Is great.
Yeah, I think he's had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. The rest of the roster, I have serious concern, especially their offensive line. You can't give a guy who's about, 200 pounds soaking wet, maybe 190. You can't give him a poor offensive line that just gave up 65 sacks on a guy. Like, you can't do that.
He's going to be scrambling a lot, I think.
He will be. But although, during his play, though, 80% completion percentage, 8.2 yards an attempt. So he's being, his first completion was a beautiful shot up the right side. So we've seen the talent. Can we see it when he's running for his life behind a poor offensive line? That's yet to see. By the way, he was not under pressure a single time in the preseason. He was getting the ball out quick. They were doing a pretty good job protecting him. How will that go up against, I don't know.
Yeah, in terms of
Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Micah Parsons, you name it. The Eagles' defensive front, how is he going to do in that circumstance? How's the offensive line going to hold up? I don't think they're going to.
No, I don't either. So in terms of how they'll end up the year, I just gave you the ranks for the preseason.
Yeah.
I still got to give it to Caleb Williams because I think he's got the most talent around him on offense with the Bears of the teams that have rookies to start. I think second will probably be, again, Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix will be second. I like Drake May a lot, and I might have ranked him higher if I didn't think that the Patriots are going to have such a hard time this year with the record, the strength of schedule they're playing against, which is one of the hardest, and the fact that they didn't seem to really fix their offensive line at all.
No,
it still looks
terrible.
like a sieve.
It still looks terrible.
Yeah.
And obviously Michael Penix and then J.J. McCarthy.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What were the Falcons thinking about when they drafted Michael Penix?
It's still a
they
question.
They didn't even let him play. He played the first preseason game.
Yeah.
He had just
16 attempts, 9 completions.
9 completions out of 16.
104 yards, 6.5
that was
yards.
It. That's all we saw of him. That's it for the whole year. Unless, is he even the second stringer?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what they were thinking about. I guess Kirk Cousins, they saw
it's injury.
that they
it's the
pissed
Jordan
him
Love
off. And
situation.
they didn't want him to get even more pissed off at $45 million salary.
Yeah, maybe. But I think overall, I think that's still a question to this day. Why draft Michael Penix that high when you just paid a guy $45 million? You're planning for the future. Are you the Green Bay Packers of the South? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But it's time, though. It's time to do our standings predictions. We do this occasionally. We did the preseason standings predictions. Now we're doing the post-preseason predictions, and we will do our final fix in Week 8, so basically midway through the year. So let's jump into I'll go first with this one. Let's begin with my post-preseason AFC standings predictions with the AFC East. I got the New York Jets taking the AFC East. The Bills move down 1, Jets move up 1. Dolphins remain in that 3 spot, and the Patriots are obviously dead last. Now, I was really considering swapping the Bills and the Dolphins 2 and 3. So the Dolphins move up 1, the Bills plummet even more. And then you take a look at how the schedule turns out for the Miami Dolphins. And what has history told us? When it gets to basically be sweater weather, Tua freezes like a frozen fish on a delivery truck. That's just what happens. The numbers are there. It's indisputable that Tua does not play well after Week 13. Who do they play Week 13 and on? Green Bay, the Jets, Houston, San Francisco, Cleveland, and New York. The Jets again. You're telling me that Tua is not going to completely crap the bed like he did last year? He got upset by the Tennessee Titans last year during that Week 13 on. So my guess would be they'll play great in the beginning because they play some pitiful teams about Week 3 on. Seattle, Tennessee, New England, Indy, Arizona. That's where they'll get most of their wins. And then Week 13 rolls around, it's not going to be pretty. The Patriots are garbage anyway. But I do think the Jets, just with the way they're structured and with the potential of Devontae Adams, but that's not really into play right now, at least for this standings prediction. I think the Jets, with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, a brand new offensive line, Breece Hall, I think he'll be a top running back in the league this year, receiving and rushing. A defense that was the highest graded defense last season. I think, and by the way, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, this is their last shot. This is basically it. I don't think there's going to be any more excuses for them. I'll go with the Jets taking the series. I think some of the Bills' losses, especially Matt Milano getting hurt, I think that's a significant loss. Besides all their offseason losses as well, the Bills plummet. They lose their AFC East crown that they've had for a number of years now. I got the Jets winning the AFC East. The AFC North remains completely the same. I don't trust the Bengals defense. Joe Burrow is back. They lost Joe Mixon. Now Zach Moss is their starting running back. Now Zach Taylor expects Jamar Chase to be there during Week 1. They need Jamar Chase because the Bengals notoriously under Joe Burrow do not do well early in the year. Could that be because Joe Burrow's rehabbing an injury from training camp? Very well can be. But history says that the Bengals do not do well in September. So you need everybody to be there, available to you in your worst moments. So if Jamar Chase is out there, should be relatively okay. The Browns, though, I think defense is going to be good. We got to see what Deshaun Watson looks like. When Deshaun Watson was out there last year, the numbers say that he didn't perform very well, but they were 5-1. I'll take 5-1. His numbers may be garbage, and he may be largely responsible for a large amount of his incompletions, but I think that 5-1, I'll take wins. Wins mean a lot in this league. It gets you paid. Although when it comes to Deshaun Watson, the last season he played with the Texans, I think he went, 4-12? Not exactly a great year. And then the Steelers. I just saw Russell Wilson crap the bed, and he's probably going to be the Week 1 starter. They also have arguably the hardest schedule. It's top 3 hardest. I've seen anywhere from first, second, mostly first hardest in the NFL. With that roster, with especially that quarterback, no, they're going to be last. The AFC South remains the same. Texans are going to win this division. They have arguably one of, if not the best receiving corps in the NFL. I thought the release of Noah Brown, didn't really exactly like it. Noah Brown had a couple beautiful games when Tank Dell went down and they needed Noah Brown to pick it up. He did so. So I don't love the release, but maybe he'll be back. Who knows? They added Joe Mixon. They added Stephon Diggs. They got Danielle Hunter. They had a lot of pieces. They have a lot of pieces. Will Anderson just coming off Defensive Rookie of the Year. I love the way the Texans look. The Jaguars. How is Trevor Lawrence going to come back? How is he going to look? He looked great in the preseason. How is he going to do in the regular season? Because he's been a bunch of peaks and valleys in his performances. Will we see the 2-6 to end the year, or will we see when they were up and high and mighty to start the year last year? I'm not exactly sure. The Colts with Anthony Richardson should be relatively good. He's an upgrade over Gardner Minshew. And then the Titans, they did reinforce their wide receiver core, but Will Levis worked his best with play action. Spears and Pollard are not exactly going to be your play action threats that you need them to be for Will Levis to excel in what he did the most last year, play action. So that's why I have the Titans at number 4. And finally, to wrap it up, my AFC West pick is unchanged. I have the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. Chiefs, Xavier Worthy looks great. Mahomes is going to be great. Herbert, I think Brandon Staley's not there anymore. Jim Harbaugh should be a massive upgrade over Brandon Staley, especially defensively. If the defense is at least acceptable, Justin Herbert will be fine. I understand he's dealing with an injury right now, but I think overall, Justin Herbert will be fine. Receiver core, I'm a little bit worried. I'm definitely a little bit worried. You lost Mike Williams. You lost Keenan Allen, your top 2 receivers, your top 2 deep threats, your top 2 reliable targets. I think that'll be a problem. Quentin Johnston has looked not great. Really, he looks like a bust, which does not bode well for the Chargers, but I think this will be a ground and pound team. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, better offensive line, better coach defense, and then we get to the Broncos-Raiders debate. Bo Nix is better than Gardner Minshew already. Yes, weapons-wise, the Raiders will take the cake. Tight ends, receivers. Offensive line, give it to the Broncos. Defensive front, give it to the Raiders. Secondary, Broncos win. Call it a wash. They're two bad teams. Broncos are 5.5 over/under. Raiders are 6.5 over/under. They basically have the same strength of schedule. They're both about 8-9, 9-8. It's a complete wash. So I'll choose the Broncos. I think Bo Nix is the better quarterback. I'll take him over Gardner Minshew every single day of the week. So that is my AFC, my post-preseason AFC predictions. There you go. Now it's your turn. Now it's going to look very similar, I would say.
Yeah, they are very similar.
A couple changes I was a little bit shocked by.
Yeah. Okay, so AFC East. Okay, so I got the Jets winning the division. If they don't win the division this year, forget it for them. I mean, they have a good defense. They have Aaron Rodgers now coming back. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be a real plus for them because they did win 7 games last year with basically no quarterback. So they have him out there, and he can at least be efficient and show some of the flash that he had, winning 4 MVPs. Then I do think the Jets are going to be the winner in that division. And their strength of schedule, that's number 12, so it's kind of the middle of the pack, a little above the middle of the pack. I think they got enough to get it done and win the division this year. But it remains to be seen. It is the Jets, and they usually find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So we'll have to wait and see. The next two I had a very hard time about. I was not sure what to do between the Dolphins and the Bills. I think strength of schedule is one thing that is a big factor for me, and also the defenses. So the Bills' strength of schedule, they're number 6, so it's one of the toughest schedules in the league this year. And their defense last year was the main reason they made the playoffs and got through the first round, but they only gave up 311 points. It was like a top 6 or 7 defense. Whereas the Dolphins, they gave up almost 400 points. So the Bills lost some of their defensive players. I don't think you can say that they've got the same kind of defense they had last year going into the season. So those factors, the strength of schedule and the points allowed, which I think are going to be higher for them this year, and the fact they lost Stephon Diggs and going into this preseason, there no wide receiver really kind of stood out there. Coleman, he's a rookie, and he's still finding his way a little bit. So I think the Bills are going to drop to number 3. I think the Dolphins will beat them. And I agree with you about Tua. And later in the season, he kind of falls apart when he gets cold. But their strength of schedule is number 24. So they're going to be playing, as you said, near the end of the season, it gets a little tougher for them. But they're going to win most of the games before that. So I think they'll hang in there, and they'll be number 2. Behind the Jets. They need to improve their defense. I mean, they gave up almost 400 points last year. Their offense was great, almost 500 points, but they got to do better on defense. I think if they can do that, and particularly when it gets cold, they have to play better on defense because Tua is not going to be maybe that great. The Patriots going to bring up the end of the bus there on this year. It's kind of a rebuilding year. It'll be fun to watch Drake May play. They got some other rookies there. Jalen Polk looked pretty good in the preseason, so it'll be fun to watch. I'll watch all the games. I'm a Patriot fan, but it's going to be a long season for the Patriots. Moving right along now to the AFC. What do you have? The North?
North, yeah.
The AFC North. Last year, you had 3 playoff teams come out of this division. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think that the Ravens are going to win the division. They got a fantastic defense and a fantastic offense, too. I mean, they only gave up 280 points last year. They scored almost 500, 483. Their strength of schedule is very tough. Number 2. And last year they won 13 games. I think they find a way to win because basically in their division, I don't think it's going to be that tough for them in the division. So I got them winning the division. I think number 2 will be the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to rebound with Burrow bouncing back and hopefully staying healthy. Their strength of schedule only number 16, so they're going to have a little easier. Their defense needs to improve a little bit, giving up 384 points last year. The defense needs to score more, too, 366 last year. So I think Burrow will be the difference there. I think they'll get to the second position in their division, and I do think they'll be a playoff team. Then I've got the Browns. The Browns have the toughest schedule in the NFL this year, and they have a very good defense, although they gave up 362 points last year. They do have a very good defense. I think it's all on Watson. If he plays out of this world, then I think they will knock the Bengals out of that second spot and they'll be a playoff team. So if Watson is an average season, then I don't think they will. So we'll have to wait and see. It's really up in the air with Watson. I mean, he got hurt last year. When he was in there, they were 5-1. So that's a difference making stat. But we'll have to wait and see. Steelers, I think, will be last. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to be anything to write home about. Plus, they have such a difficult schedule, third hardest in the NFL. They have a good defense, but they got to keep Watt healthy. When he's out, they don't win when he's not in the game, and he's been hurt both the last 2 seasons. Part of the season, he's got to stay healthy for them to have a chance to do anything. Okay, moving right along. The AFC South, I've got the Texans, Jaguars, Colts, and Titans. No real change. The same as last year, actually. I think the Texans will be even better. They have a very good defense. They have a tough strength of schedule, man, and number 4. That's going to make it harder for them. Whereas the Jaguars is number 8. The Jaguars, I think, will be better than last year because I do think that Lawrence is going to stay healthy this year, and that'll make a big difference for them. I think they probably found ways to improve in some aspects of their game that let them down a little bit last year in the second half of the season. So I do think they'll be number 2. I don't think there's going to be another playoff team out of this division besides the Texans, though. And I do think the Colts are going to have it tough with Richardson really being a rookie again. He didn't play enough last year to really know whether he's how good he's really going to be. Their strength of schedule's weak, number 21. The Titans, again, I think they'll be last. They don't really have much in a running game. Strength of schedule's weak at 21, but I just think Levis. I don't know. We'll see how he does. Mason Rudolph may wind up getting into some of these games. He had a very good preseason. They wound up trading Willis to the Packers just, I think, today. Was it today or yesterday?
It might have been yesterday, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, so next and last, the AFC West. I have no surprise that I have the Chiefs winning the division. They have the good defense there, less than 300 points allowed last year. Strength of schedule is number 16. For them, that should make it pretty easy for them to be number 1 in their division this year. I think the number 2 team will be the Chargers, actually, and only because I think the coach is a winner. I think bringing Harbaugh in there is a great move for them. The strength of schedule, too, number 27, one of the weakest schedules they got to play in the league. The big question mark for them, I think, is their defense. I mean, gave up almost 400 points last year, and the offense only scored 346, but Herbert got hurt. So with him back, healthy, with Harbaugh as a coach, improving that defense, I think that the Chargers will be second in the division and will make the playoffs. After that, I think the Broncos. I like Bo Nix a lot. I just don't think that the Broncos have the supporting cast around him to make a difference. They got hurt badly by the Russell Wilson fiasco. Lost a lot of draft picks. Gave up some players. They lost some players to stay under the salary cap for this year. So I think that they were hurt by the Russell Wilson trade, and it's going to take them a couple of years to recover from that. It'll be interesting to see how they do this year. I'll be rooting for them, but I don't think they're going to do better than third in the division. And the Raiders, I just think they're going to be last. I don't think they got much for the quarterback play there, although I do like who's the quarterback going to be? Minshew, yeah. I like him. He's fun to watch, but I don't think he's going to be.
Minshew mania?
Yeah, I do. I kind of like him. I like watching him play. I just don't think he's got what it's going to take with that team to do very well. Those are my picks.
I think they have based on the positional unit.
I might
rankings,
be wrong about the Bills.
quarterback.
I think the Bills are my.
No.
I'm not so sure.
Stay proud of your picks. You still got to rock the Bears pick though. Your 5-12 Bears pick.
No, we haven't done the NFC again.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do that on Friday.
Now that I've seen Caleb Williams play and how they did
You're
in the
gonna alter
preseason,
it.
I don't know. I might give them a few.
Update that TikTok.
I might give them a few more
went a
wins.
little viral.
I don't think they're going to be a playoff team.
We gotta update that TikTok next time we go around. You got to do your updated Bears prediction. Let's see if it goes viral again. Like
I'll say I'm back. I'm back with a new prediction.
Yeah. So there we go. NFC on Friday. Playoff and Super Bowl predictions next Tuesday, as well as the return of NFL picks is back. We pick Thursday Night Football next Tuesday. Then that Friday, we go back to those amazing picks that we had. We recap how last year went, how this year will turn out to be, hopefully. So the next 2 weeks, week and a half, it's going to be a lot of content, a lot of shows. We should be seeing a lot of moving pieces when it comes to the Patriots. There's a lot to talk about. The NFL is picking up. And we got NBA coming up in a month or two. Should be fun to talk about that throughout the NBA season. Got some stuff planned, hopefully, for the NBA season, so stay tuned for that. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, we thank you for the constant support as always. If you want to help support the show, use the referral code down below, drsquatch.com/Nathan Harvey. You get $10 off orders of $20 or more, and also you smell and feel fresh as hell. Why not do that at all? drsquatch.com/Nathan Harvey to get $10 off orders of $20 or more. We appreciate the support as always. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Good night, Grandpa.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. Unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online. And Saley, a global eSIM data app, will save you from those unexpected roaming charges. Grab the 2-year NordVPN deal with 76% off and get up to 20 gigabytes Saley eSIM data gift